Hi and welcome to another episode of Toby's Barbecue Corner. Now, as I will be barbecuing some large pieces of meat, ribs mostly, tomorrow I need some barbecue sauce to lather it on later on to give it that lovely glaze. Now, problem is I don't have any barbecue sauce left in the fridge. So, what is the solution? You might say, Toby, just go to the gas station, go to your local grocery, get some barbecue sauce, call it a day. Well, no. I have everything right here to make my very own barbecue sauce. So, what you need for it and how to do it, I'm going to show you in this episode. And these are the ingredients we need, and frankly, I think everybody should have them at home at any given point in time. So you need some soy sauce, you need some tomato paste, you need some whiskey of your choice, whichever one that is. You need some salt, you need some sugar. I'm using a sugar alternative simply for dietary reasons, but you can use regular sugar. You need some garlic, some paprika powder, some chili, however spicy you want to go. You need some tomatoes, you need some onions, and what I like to use is these squirt bottles later on to store it in the fridge. Now obviously, as there are no preservatives, it won't last forever, but as I said, I'm doing that today. We're using mostly the stuff tomorrow, so we should be good. Well, in the first step, and that's probably the longest, you need to get all the cutting out of the way, and especially with the tomatoes, you're supposed to peel them. And obviously that is quite a tricky thing when they're raw. I know you can cook them and make like a crosswise incision into the tomato so that it peels easier. We're going to try it without doing that simply because it will take too much time. But also what you can do is if you have a sharp knife and you're willing to risk it, you can peel it just like so. It will take some time. But obviously we don't want to have this skin in our barbecue sauce later on. Tomatoes are peeled and chopped up. So now onto the onions. Again here it's similar like a lot of the recipes. It really depends on how fine you want to go, or how coarse you want to go in your barbecue sauce. So if you obviously don't want any texture, so to speak, of any of the ingredients that were in there, go as fine as you can. Obviously you can use one of those magic puree sticks as well and puree the whole sauce later on. I might actually do that. I'm not 100% sure yet, but initially we're just going to cube it up just like that. Well, that's obviously sliced up, but we're quickly going to cube it and then we're going to throw it in. Talking about throwing it in, we're going to be cooking on my Enders Pro outside. Prep time, probably good 20 minutes. Cook time, roughly an hour and 20, because you want to glaze your onions as well as your garlic a little bit before you throw in the tomatoes, the tomato paste and all the other ingredients. And then it needs about an hour to cook down until it has the right consistency. Depending on the weather and how cold it is, it might need a little bit more, it might need a bit less. So, take your time when you're doing that. And then lastly, the garlic, as per usual. Obviously if you have a little blender, use that as well. Use your knife. Use whatever you like, really. Just cut it up, chop it a little bit, and that should do it. Nah, that skin doesn't want to come off my fingers. So here we go. And that's basically all you need to do. And it will release all those lovely flavors. So I'm going to finish this up. And then it's already time to go outside and start cooking. So you see how simple that is. Yes, it's quicker to go to the store or to the gas station or wherever you get your barbecue sauce from. Your delicatessen. But, I think any self-respecting household should have tomatoes, garlic, whiskey, wherever it may be from, the US, Ireland, wherever in the world, you know, some sugar, etc. I think every self-respecting household should have that at home. What a beautiful sunny day today, and there is some kids screaming in the background, so in case you're hearing that, I do apologize. Anyways, we're using the side cooker of my Enders Monroe, and what we're going to do first is we're going to use a little bit of oil. Now you can use any oil you want. I prefer rapeseed oil simply because it has a higher smoke point than, for example, olive oil. So we're going to let that heat up for a second, and then we're going to throw in our chopped up onions as well as the garlic and give that a bit of a sear. And once they start to get nice and soft and almost translucent, we're going to add in our tomatoes. So that's going to take a few minutes. About 5 minutes in, they're getting some color, which is great. That's exactly what we want to see. So we're going to throw in our chopped up and diced tomatoes. Give them a little bit of color as well. And we're going to add a good heap of the tomato paste, and that will really give us some great flavor. So we're going to mix all of this through and let that cook down just a little bit before we add all the other ingredients. Nicely sizzling and bubbling away, so we're going to add in our whiskey as well as the soy sauce. Add in your sugar. You can use brown sugar as well, you can use white sugar, or as I said, I'm using a sugar alternative. Give that a bit of a stir. Especially the whiskey will give it a nice, lovely, smoky flavor. And then some chili powder. Now, depending on how much chili you put, obviously, the more spicy it gets. We're going to put a little bit in for now, and then we'll see how spicy that is in the end. Paprika powder, obviously a must for barbecue sauces. And some salt. Now, later on, we're going to do a taste test and see if we need to add anything anywhere. Give it a good stir, and then we're going to let that bubble, not cook, but kind of like simmer, so medium to low heat for about an hour, and we're going to check in about half an hour's time to see if we need to puree it as well, but from the looks of things, we're going to be doing that. Alright, so for you just a few seconds, for me half an hour. The first half an hour is up, and it has thickened quite a bit, so what we're going to do is we're going to puree it, because I am not convinced that this is the right texture that we want. Just have to be careful not to mess up everything around us. And we're going to let that simmer again for probably another 15, maximum 20 minutes. I think it has gotten rather thick already. And then we're going to do a quick taste test. Total of 40 minutes cook time, and we have what I would say is roughly half a liter, maybe a little bit more, of our own homemade barbecue sauce. I think it smells delicious, so let's taste it. Very nice, not overly spicy, but I think we could add a little bit more salt into it. and maybe a little bit more paprika. I would stay away from the chili because I know that tomorrow kids will be eating with us as well. But that is one nice thick sauce, and as I had said, we're going to be using those spritz bottles. Now what I've done is, obviously I've used some hot water, cleaned them out thoroughly, you know, let them be in that water for a while to disinfect whatever was in there. And now I have one of those little strainers, and I think it's very important to have this thing in here as well. It might make it a bit more difficult because it is a rather thick sauce, but whatever is left in here that might be a bit, how do I put this, that you know, that any chunks that are left, I think will get out. So let's see if we can get this done without messing ourselves up too much. But as you can tell, it is quite a thick sauce, and it might actually not work through the strainer. So let's see if we can get that done. It might take forever. And if it does, we just don't worry about it. We're just going to use it as is. Yeah, I think we're going to forget the strainer, and I'm going to fill the bottle as it is. And there we go, guys. Out of 500 grams of tomatoes and all the other ingredients, we made about a bottle, and you know, just a tiny little bit, but hey, nothing gets wasted. So this goes in the fridge now, and tomorrow I'm going to be covering all sorts of ribs with it. So I'm really looking forward to that. Alright guys, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video about our homemade whiskey barbecue sauce. Now it was mega easy to make, took about 40 minutes of cooking time, 20 odd minutes, you know, to cut up everything. And it was really good that I actually did end up blended in the end. You know, so if you have a blender, use it. If you have one of those magic, I don't know what they're called, use it. It makes it that much more even. The texture is nicer, the taste is really nice. So yeah, and as I said, I'm really looking forward to actually using that tomorrow on our beef and pork ribs. Now, if you did enjoy the video, I would appreciate a comment and a thumbs up. Please head over to that subscribe button for more great videos to come, and I hope to see you soon again at Toby's Barbecue Corner.